Hi fam, welcome to my YouTube. So like I said, my sole purpose to start this channel was to be your paragraph guy where I explain you the movies within minutes so that you don't have to watch the entire movie if you don't want to, or you can understand the movie better. So if you like this video by the end, I request you to subscribe Movies with Asra and also like it. With that note, let's begin. Today we're going to talk about the movie Pindam 2023. It's a Telugu language horror movie, and it's a brilliant, amazing movie that you're gonna love. It has an IMDb of 6.8. This movie is also available on YouTube and also Prime Video. So let's begin. Movie starts with this woman in the car who is reciting. Her name is Anamma. So she's basically praying, and while she's praying, there is a dog who is constantly barking at her and hitting his own head on the car. Doing that, he kills himself, and Annama gets out of the car and instructs her man to bury the dog because it might be dangerous. Now, while Annama is going, she meets with a man. His name is Lokanath. He tells that he wants to do a case study on Annama because he's a journalist. Now, Annama here is a demonologist. She helps possessed people get rid of spirits in their house or whatever they're dealing with, any bad energy. So she's going on her project. That's when Lokanath comes and approaches her. Annama agrees to him and tells him to tag along. She goes in the house. She meets this man who's just come back from US with his daughter. So basically, his daughter is possessed, and he came back here because his father died. Now, when Annama investigates, she finds out that the daughter has a spirit of his own father because the father is upset with the son because he could not reach for the burial and last rites on time, and the father is upset. That's why he's possessed the daughter. So she informs the same thing to the man. The man then apologizes to the daughter, basically his dad's spirit, and feeds him his favorite food, and that's when the spirit leaves and they're free. After this, Lokanath is quite impressed and he talks to Annama about her life. Annama explains that her father was the demonologist, and that's how she got it from her father. And then Lokanath asks her what was her most difficult case up until now that she's taken up. So now the movie goes back into the past, 1990. In between, Lokanath and Annama have this conversation about spiritual and all these kind of paranormal activities, but that's not important. I'm just gonna skip to the part where the main picture of the movie is seen. So scene skips to 1990 where we see this man Anthony. He just purchased a house at a very good deal, and he's quite happy about it because the house is very huge and he got it at a very good deal. Now Anthony has a wife called Mary. He has two daughters, Tara and Ruby, and he also lives with his mother. Now, the second daughter that Anthony has is deaf and mute. While this Mary is also pregnant with a third child, and we also see that the mother of Anthony expects Mary to give birth to a son. Now, ever since they moved to this house, they experience paranormal activities. Like, example, Anthony's scooter suddenly stops and he has to walk home. And on the way home, he meets a man, and this man just like talks to him. And as the house approaches, he just disappears. And all these things happen. And Anthony tells to Mary, and Mary does not believe because Mary has not experienced anything such up until now. You will know later why. And then next day again, there are some frames falling in the house, and Anthony's mother starts bleeding. So basically, Anthony's mother's intention was that her husband will be reborn in a form of a baby. That's why she's expecting a son from Mary. So all these things keep happening with them. I mean, there is also a scene where they open this room that was sealed for a long time because Anthony has just purchased a new house. He thought, why not, so he just opened the room, and there was some old you know antique stuff from the previous owners, so they did not make a big deal out of it. Now we also see second daughter Tara going into that room and touching everything, and she also experiences chair moving and stuff. Now, in between these, again at night, we see Tara talking something, and her sister wakes up and she's shocked because Tara is deaf and mute, right? Why is she talking? So she yells at her parents, she calls her parents' name, and her parents come, and everything looks normal. And then they start blaming the sister that, why did she make a fuss about it? So all these things keep happening. Meanwhile, one morning, Mary wakes up to find that Anthony is missing. She goes around and finds in the house, but she cannot find him anywhere. When she goes out, there is a well that old villagers used to have, where they used to pull out water from. When she goes, sees inside that, she finds Anthony barely surviving. She calls for help, takes him out of the well, and asks him that what was he doing. Now, Anthony says that last night he saw Tara sitting near the well, and as he approached there, Tara just disappeared and someone pushed him. Before that, he also saw four girls and one woman staring at him from the roof. So all these things happen, and these people kept on experiencing these things over the days. That's when they decided that they're leaving this house, and they called the broker and they told him that, we want to sell the house and we want to leave from here as soon as possible. While they are packing and leaving, Mary experiences a very bad stomach pain because she's pregnant and she could not bear it. So Anthony informs the mother that, take care of the girls and I take Mary to the hospital. When they go to the hospital, they find out that they have to stay there at least for 2 days because the condition was critical. She was not delivering the baby yet, but there was some issue with the baby. Anyways, after 2 days, when they return home, they come home to find that the mother was lying dead on the floor. Basically, she had fallen from the stairs. That's what it seemed like. Now they were really panicked and they were scared, and they consulted someone, and someone told them to call Annama. Basically, Annama was very young at that time, 1990s. They called Annama because she was a demonologist. Annama said, I'll be there in 2 days. Meanwhile, do not go anywhere from the house because they won't let you go anywhere. Now Anthony and Mary agree and they stay in the house. 2 days later, after the they held a funeral for their mom, and after the funeral is done, we also see Annama there. Annama gets inside the house and she starts to, hear spirit voices and everything, and something just tried to attack her suddenly with the wire, and but she has her cross, so she defeats the spirit, and then everything calms down. So basically, Anama believes in all kinds of religion because she's a demonologist. She's like into everything. Anama informs Anthony and Mary that she's gonna be back in 2 days. And after 2 days, she promises that the house will be livable and she'll get rid of all the spirits. Meanwhile, she asks them not to go anywhere. After 2 days, Annama returns with four of her workers, four of her people. They enter the house, they start their ritual, and when they go out, there is a huge tree where Annama finds remains a skeleton of a girl child. Now, while they find it, the younger girl of Anthony starts to roll around the tree, and Annama asks Anthony and Mary to let her do it. Once she's done with it, she faints. So they bring her inside, and like same old way, they do an exorcism on her. They read it, and she tries to, cry, and then she levitates on the air. All these things happen, and suddenly she just disappears. Okay, now they all start finding her in the house. They go inside the house and they start finding her. There is the one room that I told you about that was sealed, and Anthony opened it. So they opened that room and they went inside, and there were a lot of remains. There were like three girls remains and one woman's remains skeleton that was found inside. That's when we see that Annama has recollected everything, that whatever has happened in this house. They also find Tara in that room. Now Annama tells them the story that, there was a family. This man named Nanda. There was this man named Nanda. He had a wife and four of their daughters, and Nanda also lived with his mother. So we see that Nanda's mother kept taunting him that, he has four daughters and there's no son to, take the family name forward. And it was always taunts, and Nanda also used to physically abuse his wife and also hit his daughters. Like, he used to treat them very badly. Now, one day, Nanda's wife got pregnant with a fifth child, and because Nanda and his mother were worried, they called a midwife to examine and see if the gender of the baby, if there's a boy or a girl. Now, this midwife comes, examines, and tells that there is another girl in Nanda's wife's stomach. Nanda gets so upset that he picks up the knife. He opens the wife's stomach and pulls out the baby. That scene is just so disturbing. Oh my god, watch it at your own risk. pulls out the baby, and of course wife is dead instantly and the baby is also dead. And then he chases all his daughters and kills them one by one. One of the daughter runs out and hides in the tree, and she dies there because we found her remains there, right? And so these four daughters and mother, these five spirits were in the house. Over time, even Nanda and his mother died, so even their spirit was in the house. Okay, so everybody's spirit was in the house. And now the reason Mary did not experience this is, when Nanda killed the fetus of the baby started protecting the baby that was inside Mary's stomach. That's why Mary was kept away from everything, because the fetus was protecting Mary. Now everybody had their own revenge plan. Like, Nanda's wife killed the mother-in-law because the mother-in-law kept on asking for a son and she was traumatized by that. So all these things were happening with them because of these. Now Annama suggests that she needs to do a ritual inside the house along with Mary, and the men in the house like Anthony and other of her workers need to collect all their valuables, like all their items, go outside and bury it. While burying, Annama warns them that whoever calls them, do not turn behind, just go inside, just go outside and bury while we finish the puja inside. Now, while this happens, we see that Nanda's spirit constantly tries to talk Anthony out of this, but Anthony is very strong and he just does not look around. But one of Annama's man, Sohel, turns around and he's possessed by Nanda's spirit. Now they all try to stop Nanda's spirit, to avoid him, to stop the ritual that's going on inside. And Annama just removes her necklace and puts it on her man, and then we see Nanda's spirit, and somehow they all finish the ritual and we see that it's over. In between there are a lot of things that I did not mention it, because main thing to explain here was a storyline. So that's how it is. And then after the ritual is done, we see everything is back to normal. Tara, the second daughter, is doing fine, the whole family is fine, they thank Annama, and Annama just leaves and they're very happy. Now we come back to present, where Loknath says that okay, that was the case. And then Annama gets another call from an abandoned house to come for the case. So Loknath says that he wants to tag along. Annama says that this will be his last case, that he can tag along, and after this he cannot tag along anymore. Now when they both go inside the house, there was no one. It was completely abandoned house. Annama is confused that who would have called her. So after this scene, we see a scene from outside the house where Annama is standing in the window and Nanda, the spirit of that house, is standing next to her. So basically, Nanda is not yet gone. He still exists and he's still waiting for the revenge. He still wants the revenge from Annama. He's gonna kill her or probably not. But here we see that there are theories that Loknath might have been possessed by Nanda, or Loknath was Nanda. So movie ends with this note, and I think when you watch the movie, it is more thrilling and more scary and horror. But it's a very amazing movie. I hope you like my explanation, and if there's any feedback, please comment and let me know so that I improve better. And if you like this, you can subscribe to my channel. I'll be back tomorrow with an amazing movie explanation. Until then, I love you all.